He hid millions from everyone, starved his own family, let his wife and children suffer, and thought he had destroyed her life. One night robbers took everything. But what he didn't know was that the woman he broke was quietly building a power he could never touch. This is the story of the woman who turned betrayal into strength, and silence into the most powerful revenge. The morning Mama Kunnel left her husband's house did not feel dramatic. There was no thunder. No shouting. No crowd gathering at the gate. It was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm has already destroyed everything. For a moment, Mama Kunnel stood still. This had been her home. Not a good one. Not a kind one. But still a home she had once believed would grow into something warm. Behind her, Baba Kunnel stood at the door, his face swollen from a night of crying. The space beneath the bed where the rusted trunk of money once lived now looked like an open wound. "I said I am sorry," he whispered again, his voice hoarse. Mama Kunnel did not turn. She had heard those words too many times after every harsh dismissal, every night he refused to give money for food, every moment he made her feel foolish for asking. Sorry had become a sound without meaning. "Are we traveling?" the oldest asked. "Yes," Mama Kunnel replied gently. "We are going somewhere better." Baba Kunnel stood quickly, panic rising in his chest. "You cannot just leave," he said. "This is your house." Mama Kunnel finally faced him. Her eyes were not angry. They were clear. "This was never my house," she said softly. "It was your secret." The words landed heavier than any insult. For years, Baba Kunnel had enjoyed control, the power of saying no, the pride of watching his family depend on him while he hid wealth beneath their feet. The power of watching his family starve day and night. But was not touched to bring out the money he hid for years. Now, with the money gone and the truth exposed, he looked smaller than she had ever seen him. "I will change," he begged. "You had years to change," she replied. There was no bitterness in her voice. That was what frightened him most. She lifted the traveling bag and placed it on her shoulder. The children gathered around her, sensing that something important, something permanent, was happening. Outside, the morning air was cool. Neighbors pretended to sweep their compounds while secretly watching. Word had already spread. It always did. Mama Kunnel stepped onto the dusty road with her children without looking back. Each step felt both heavy and freeing, as if invisible chains were falling from her ankles. Behind her, Baba Kunnel called her name. Once. Twice. Then his voice broke. She did not turn. Because if she did, she might remember the man she married, not the man he became. They walked for nearly an hour before reaching the main road where old buses coughed smoke into the sky. The children were tired, but none complained. Even at their young age, they all understood that their mother's silence meant strength, not weakness. Leaving behind the man who had hidden millions and let them suffer, she stepped into a world of uncertainty. Every step felt heavy with fear, but also alive with possibility. She had nothing but her courage, her children, and a burning determination to survive. Mama Kunnel counted the small money she had saved after the hidden was revealed, and Baba Kunnel started giving her money and the few coins she saved over the years, coins from market change, tiny notes hidden inside old wrappers. It was not much. But it was honest. And for the first time in many years, honest felt like wealth. They boarded a crowded bus heading toward a nearby town. The seats were worn, the windows dusty, but Mama Kunnel held her children close as the vehicle rattled forward. As the old house disappeared from sight, something inside her chest loosened. Not relief. Not happiness. Something quieter. Possibility. She did not know exactly what awaited her. She had no rich relatives waiting with open arms. No business already prepared. No miracle promise. All she had were her hands. Her patience. And a heart that had survived years of quiet suffering without turning bitter. The bus stopped near a busy roadside market. Women shouted prices. The smell of fried akara filled the air. Life moved fast here, no one had time to study another person's pain. Mama Kunnel stepped down slowly, holding her children's hands. This place did not know her story. Here, she was not the poor wife. She was simply a woman starting again. That evening, they slept in a small corner in her cousin's room with peeling paint and a single window. The children lay close together, exhausted. Mama Cunnell remained awake. Through the window, she watched other women returning from the market, their trays empty, their steps tired but proud. Women who worked. Women who earned. Women who did not beg permission to feed their families. A thought formed quietly in her mind. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just steady. I will not suffer again. She did not plan revenge. She did not dream of humiliating Barbara Cunnell. Instead, she made a decision far more powerful. She would build a life so stable, so honest, and so peaceful that the memory of that old house would no longer have power over her. In the darkness, Mama Cunnell whispered a prayer not for riches, not for punishment, but for strength. Because she understood something many people never learn. Money can disappear overnight. But dignity, once protected, can grow. As the town settled into sleep, Mama Cunnell finally lay down beside her children. For the first time in many years, her chest did not feel tight. There was still fear. Still uncertainty. But beneath it all, something new had taken root. Hope. And hope, she would soon discover, was far more dangerous than anger. Because hope builds. The first morning after leaving Barbara Cunnell's house did not feel like freedom. It felt like fear. Mama Cunnell woke before dawn, but there was no familiar ceiling above her, no cracked wall she had memorized, no quiet breathing of a husband beside her. She lay on a thin borrowed mattress in her cousin's small living room, staring at shadows that did not yet feel like home. For a moment, she wondered if she had done the right thing. Then she looked at her children, sleeping close together, bodies curled as if protecting themselves. The youngest clutched her wrapper tightly. Mama Cunnell swallowed the lump in her throat. No, she whispered. I did the only thing I could. Outside, a rooster crowed, a generator coughed to life. Life was beginning for others. It had to begin for her too. She tied her wrapper firmly, washed her face, and stepped into the pale morning light. Her cousin Sade watched from the doorway. You should rest, she said. If I rest too long, fear will catch me, Mama Cunnell replied. By sunrise, she was on the roadside, a small tray balanced on her head, holding a few balls of akara she had fried with the small beans and oil she bought with the last money she had. It was not much, but it was a beginning. The first customers hesitated. Some saw how neat she looked and how clean her akara tray was. You're selling akara? One asked. Yes. I am, she said, calm, determined. No bitterness. No explanation. Just truth. Another woman said. Your akara tastes so good, do you pass by this road every day? Mama Cunnell smiled and said. Thank you for your kind words. Today is my first day, but, yes, I will always pass by this road. By mid-morning, the akara was finished. The profit was small, but when she counted the coins, her hands trembled. It was the first money she had ever earned that truly belonged to her. That evening, she used part to buy more beans. Mama, her oldest, asked, Are we going back? She knelt beside them. We are not running away. We are walking forward. That night, for the first time in years, she slept without the weight of hidden lies. Fear lingered, but so did a stubborn seed of hope. Weeks passed, and the small tray became a wooden table, then a proper roadside stand. People of Nkaba still whispered about her. She suffered. Her husband disgraced her. She never told her story. She simply worked. Workers stopped before heading to jobs. Children brought coins. Her food was simple but always hot, always clean, served with a steady smile. One elderly woman that recognized her from Nkaba asked her, Do you not hate him? Mama Cunnell stirred the oil slowly. Hate is heavy. I have children to carry. Slowly, whispers changed. She is strong. She did not break. Profit grew. She bought a larger pot, another table, then a small kiosk. Children helped after school, laughing more. One evening, her youngest said, Food tastes happy. Mama Cunnell turned away quickly to hide tears. Years of suffering had taught her to endure. Now, progress was teaching her to breathe again. People began calling her Mama Kunnel, the businesswoman. Years later, Mama Kunnel's small kiosk had grown into a proper restaurant. Not just for Kara, but she prepared other types of food like rice, beans, yam, spaghetti, and many more. She also has a shop where she sells raw foodstuffs. Bright paint covered the once rough wood. A glass display showed neatly arranged food, and the shelves were stocked with bags of rice, beans, and everyday items. Customers came steadily, greeting her with respect. The children, now older, helped manage accounts, supplies, and customers with quiet confidence. Laughter lived there now. So did peace. People who heard about her story often asked how she survived betrayal without becoming bitter. Some expected anger. Others expected a dramatic story. She always gave the same answer. I decided my children would inherit strength, not anger. Meanwhile, Baba Kunnel lived quietly on the other side of town. He worked small, humble jobs and kept mostly to himself. The pride that once filled his voice had long faded. Sometimes he passed her shop from a distance, watching the busy entrance, the sound of customers, the life that continued without him. He never disturbed her again. One evening, as the sun stretched warm gold across the street, Mama Kunnel stood outside her shop watching the last customers leave with satisfied smiles. The air carried the comforting smell of fresh food. Her eldest daughter stood beside her. "Mama," she asked gently, "do you feel you won?" Mama Kunnel thought for a moment before answering. "I did not fight him," she said quietly. "I fought the life that was killing us." She looked at her children, healthy, confident, unafraid, and felt a deep, steady calm settle in her chest. That is enough victory for one lifetime. There was no shouting, no dramatic revenge, no public humiliation. Just a woman who had once been broken and chose to rebuild instead. And in that quiet evening light, one truth remained clear. Her greatest revenge was never his suffering. It was her peace. Thank you for watching to the end. Please, like, subscribe and comment your thoughts. See you next time.